Okay, Pierre Polyev says your tax dollars are funding the technology of genocide. Do you want? Now we're going to talk in depth about Ezra Levant being limited in his speech later on in the show. But do you want a government? And I feel like I know why the Trudeau government is spending money on this, but do you want a government like the Trudeau government having technology that identifies voices, etc., to seek out political dissidents? They do, and they invest in companies like that. Here's Mr. Polyev telling us about that, and it's chilling. It's chilling, and the Liberals don't see a problem with this, so it's going to continue. But what are you going to do, right? Here's Mr. Polyev.
In this government, they're refusing to rule out partnering with companies like iFlyTech, which does AI research to help identify the voice of Chinese political dissidents and carry out that very same genocide. Will the government reverse course and stop partnering with technology companies that enable genocide?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, look, we will partner with folks on the international stage, but it is rich for him to suggest that he is somehow more morally astute than the government. Our focus when it comes to the relationship with China is securing the release of the two Michaels, is the well-being of 300,000 Canadians in Hong Kong, is the treatment of the Uyghur population in Xinjiang. Mr. Speaker, we will continue to focus on Canada playing a leadership role on the world stage in defending the interests of Canadians abroad at every opportunity.
Member for Carleton.
He says he's concerned about the Uyghur Muslim minority in China. He refused to condemn the genocide being committed against that very population. And then he wags his fingers at us. Now, the question was very specific. The federal government is funding research at universities that are now partnering with companies like iFlyTech, which is using voice recognition technology that helps the Chinese government intercept the phone calls of the Uyghur population to identify what they're saying and help carry out the genocide. If he's as moral as he claims, why won't he rule out any further of those types of partnerships?
Honourable Minister.
And he dodges the question because Liberals don't answer questions they don't like, but I've already shown you enough of that clip, and the back and forth doesn't really get anybody anywhere. I just wanted you to know the government is enthusiastically supporting that kind of technology. So remember that when we start talking about free speech. Maybe I should have stacked it with free speech, but whatever, it doesn't matter. The Ford government drops curriculum language that called math racist. Ford was lampooned widely. Everybody was talking about it on Saturday when the language was released and talked about, and I thought it was very, very interesting how quickly they change course. They don't change course on lockdowns this quickly, but they'll change course on bad language that casts math as racist. That's interesting. Notable, right? They will change course if there's a pushback. If they're embarrassed, maybe. If they feel like people think they're foolish or a joke. I mean, making all of Ontario's workforce a joke is a problem. That's not good, right? Like, that's not a good thing necessarily, right? But they do it, and they do it enthusiastically, right? And it's very, I mean, what are you going to do? Because what's the response, right? Anyway, here it is. The Ford government has quietly deleted a section of the grade 9 math curriculum that said math was subjective and racist and requires a decolonial approach in how it's taught. News of the radical language in the curriculum was first reported by The Sun on Saturday. At the time, the government defended the language that appeared in the preamble to the revised curriculum, but by late Tuesday, it had been removed. A government official confirmed on background that the deletion had been made at the request of the Education Minister, Stephen Lecce. Ford government unveiled its new math curriculum on June 9th. Part of the impetus was getting rid of the old method of academic streaming, which too often saw black students directed towards applied math instead of the academic stream. That system was seen as discriminating against black students. It's interesting that schooling is, and teachers generally are there, and their stated purpose for being there is serving the students, right? It's not to be racist or to get back at anybody or to whatever. Having a streamed system, having a segregated system like advanced, applied, and essential, I think is what it's called, or what it was called. I don't think that harmed people. There were a lot of people, there's a lot of pressure to go into the advanced system when I was in high school, but not everybody did. I didn't go to advanced math because math intimidated me, but again, Ontario education system, right? It doesn't intimidate me now, but it did then. but there were a lot of people who thrived in that system, so it was probably me. But regardless of all of that, having a streamed system or having a system that was separated out wasn't done by race, it was done by ability, right? And if it is true that more black people were in a different stream of between the advanced, that's the word, advanced, mid one, I can't remember, essential and applied is the mid one. And so having maybe it has something to do with something else, not their race, right? Who knows? But having a system that no longer serves students and has race and racism as the top priority doesn't help people. How does that help people? That makes things worse. That makes things not as good, right? And yet we are stuck dealing with this nonsense because people are too afraid to call it out as nonsense, right? And that's not right. And it doesn't serve students. These people who have, who talk about these high ideals, oh, we're serving students, blah, 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 when the union lets us back in the school, right? But these people who say that they're serving students, the reality is, like, this new system doesn't serve students. Looking at math through a racist lens doesn't serve students. It harms students, right? It's taken away the opportunity for students who excel in math, regardless of their skin color, to access a higher level of education within the public system. That's bad. That's wrong, right? That's a failure on the public system. That's not good. That's not something to applaud. Like, shame on them. Ridiculous. The government official said the language found in the preamble, which informs how teachers should present a subject, went too far. Yeah, because it claimed math was subjective and racist, which is ridiculous of a subject that is objective, right? If you have one apple, there is one apple, and it's not racist. If you have two apples, there are two apples. If you take one away, now you have one apple, and there's nothing subjective about that. It is the objective world, right? There it is. That's math. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's me. Math is not my strong suit. If I got it wrong, I apologize. But I'm trying to say that math is as solid and core as you can get. Like, it's as real to the real world as you can possibly get with something that's kind of, there's a word, hold on. I think it's abject thinking. Like, it's because you can transform it in your head, right? Like, if there's now three apples and you take one away, right? Like,